We're talking about time. It's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon, right? Reality here. It doesn't exist beyond the point, because what exists is now, but it does show up as time. Evolution. So, starting point, end point. Birth time, death time. Then gone. So, impermanence. It's about time. Realization is about now. So, karma is about time now. From time past, time now, to time future. So we're creating future time because of what we're being and allowing to be the case now. This sitting is creating future time, like this. Not necessarily here and now, but of itself. It creates of itself. This is a starting point. So is the time path that we live unconsciously all the time in relationship to the solar system. It's a time path, right? It's a closed circuit. Hello? It's a circuit of planets rotating around the sun. It's for real. You can't escape it. It's happening all the time. I don't care what you want to call it. I don't care how you want to quantify it. There's no escaping it. The sun burns, right? The moon cools, right? The planets do what they do as churning the ongoing machinery of this solar system. Right? It's a perfect system, and it's tense at times more than other times, and it's relaxed at other times. Yeah. You don't have to be a quantum physicist or any kind of super subtle quantum physicist to conclude that you're part of the universe. That we are interdependent. Now that we're into rays, finally the science came up to rays, well, you see that we're star beings at the same time. Not because we had the Big Bang and that created all the stars and we're just, little peeps here. No, we are star beings. We have the potential in us to be monsters as well as masters. Geniuses and gods. You just have to realign your atoms to see how that works for you. See? Clunk over your head maybe. Slip on a banana peel. Put yourself in a casket for a while and fake your death. But that might awaken you to something else. Go underwater. Right? Put yourself underwater until you can't handle it anymore. Maybe that crisis will awaken you. We don't know. You have to try things to find out yourself if you're so moved to do that. We're not saying anybody we know is moved to do that. But here we are, being tested by the solar system, not just ourselves. And, no, the pressures of the solar system upon the planet right now. This is no isolated affair. Right? Oh, we have, what is it? Past few hundred years we have a global warming thing. No. This has been happening for a long time, since the beginning. See? It's a solar systemal process. It's about the sun. It's not about Joe Blow, the physicist, the scientist, or the chemist, or the military general. This is not about national politics. This is about the sun. Right? The original atomic nuclear reactor, the sun. And how that affects our molecules and our genes, and how that affects toxicity on the planet, which is all part of the process. Right? That's the natural ways. Toxicity and purification of it. Toxification, and then the water comes up and washes everything away, refreshes everything, and more toxification, as it has been the case with other civilizations. Beyond our knowing. Way under the oceans. Way under the oceans. Beyond anybody's imagination. It would have to be that way. Because nature is recycling. Everything. Constantly.
The earth needs the sun, but does the sun need the earth?
Well, whose ego is big enough to answer a question like that, really? Do we need God? We have to talk to God about that. Does anybody know? Everything needs everything, basically. That's what it is. Everything is interactive. Everything needs everything. That's why it is what it is. So, of course, the sun needs what the sun creates, what the sun sustains. And everything is here because the sun is permitting it to a certain degree. That is to say, that's the agreement right now with the forces of time, which are lords of karma beyond our comprehension. How long does the sun remain the primary luminous body in the solar system. Okay, they calculate a number of billions of years. Then what? Then it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. So maybe what's here, in terms of intelligence, transfers over to another solar system, which makes sense. Everything translates. Everything translates. See, the knowledge we have now is not newly discovered, it's old knowledge recovered. If the aliens are 20 million years ahead of us, forget about it. You know, those who pop in and out of this dimension like at free will, right, which spits ships the size of the United States, some have reported, right, like in Independence Day, these monstrous things that have appeared. Right, all of this is part of the joke that's on us, right, because we're frightened little creatures here, little nothings, racing around neurotically on the surface of the planet, you know, wishing we knew more. You can't know more. And you are subject. We are subject. There's no question about that. Are we being watched? We're being watched from the inside of the earth as well as from the outside of the earth. All the time. Right, we have to face that. There are inner earth beings and there are outer space beings. There are inner space beings. Not just inner earth beings, they're inner space beings. Right? And they're ultra space beings. Right? Beings that are you, that you don't even see you as being. But you may shift in and out of an awareness of it. We don't even know what we are yet. See? Since we got to that level, solar system, cosmic energies, rays, and possibilities there. No spook, just science. See? Observation and intelligence, sensitivity. Comment.
So relative to that, do you see the Big Bang as a valid source?
It doesn't matter what you call it. Who's wanting to, validate any of it? The Big Bang is what? An effect. Of what? You can go on ad infinitum trying to figure it out. Zero. Yeah, the universe is zero. So go back to nothing already because it's all about nothing to begin with. So understanding the basis is nothing. Everything is born of nothing. Right? Everything goes back to zero, source, infinity. End the story. It's done. I mean, it's not rocket science, man. This is cosmic intelligence. Zero, infinite. That's what Einstein was trying to come up with. Hey, it's infinite. Why bother, man? Theories. It's infinite. It's gone. We can't get to it because our instrumentation, our minds, it just can't grasp what it is as minds. Humans can't grasp what it is as minds, as humans. And we may say if there are races, just out of the possibility that are 20 million years ahead of us, regardless of what it is. I mean, we're using a human scale then. We don't even know what scale these other beings are on. When you look at it scientifically, they could be a trillion years ahead of us or a trillion years behind us, depending on what we were before, in a manner of speaking. See, that we've come back to be, let's say, renewed to start again in our progression from, let's say, dirt to light. Yeah? You know, like in terms of Lemuria and Atlantean civilizations, what were we before that we need to be again and maybe do right this time? Well, we're not doing a good job at this point. In some ways, we're not doing a good job. Other ways, it's already done. So we don't have any material expectations beyond the point. Because some of us are already living the alternate life or the astral or the spiritual life while we're here on the earth and not being concerned about the momentum of the material life, in a sense. Because that's not the real one. So we have a spiritual life, and that's the light of light and nowness, and we are already part of that, so you need to understand that. Your security is really in that, and not in the material, despite your condition, but that's a paradox each individual as a human spirit has to reconcile for themselves. Because you're in multi-dimensionalities, but nobody's telling you that. You think, you know, it's just science fiction stuff. You have to know better than that. Where do you go when you go to bed? If not into other dimensions of your own consciousness or the outer consciousness. I don't need to tell you that. It's already understood.
So are the higher planes, could they be viewed as parallel universes?
There are parallel universes. I mean, we are the parallel universe. We are the parallel universe. We're not just in one. We're physical. We're multi-dimensional beings. I mean, we can speak from light to light because we're in multiple universes. And now what we're trying to do is bring the physical up to being able to transcend light in order to get to other galaxies or find wormholes. All of that's logical, see, but it may not be the way. See. We haven't advanced enough yet to know how to defy the material universe and recreate it to satisfy our need to transcend it. That means show up whenever, wherever, however we are with minimal effort. Boom! Almost like a concept conceived to be, and boom, you're there. That's spiritual. These are spiritual techniques. Now we need to bring those to the material plane. Good luck. But they're basic spiritual techniques handed down by the ancients who did not originate on the planet to begin with. This planet. This is a young planet.
And were they able to use these techniques?
Of course. They're using them all the time in regards to what's going on the planet here, but they're not, for their own reasons, they're not making it obvious to peeps. For some reasons, they're not revealing that to the masses. They're not doing that yet. That's their choice. That's their choice, because it's their time. When the time comes, they'll do what they have to do. Now, do we know if they're going to be on the positive side or the negative side? We have to see, because the universe is dual. You have the dark and the light. You have to see what the earth deserves when the time comes for some kind of revelation of that magnitude. Because if you start seeing the insect people, right, who are 7 feet or 8 feet tall, you have to, you better get your praying chops together. Because we're not ready for that. And we are probably their preferred lunch at that point anyway. They don't need to deal with goo people. We're just gup. And we're stepping on them here, but they'll be stepping on us soon. Right? Then they will step on us. Right? Interesting. As it was said, the first shall be last, the last shall be first. It's an interesting flip. Beware. It could happen. And it may already be happening. Go on.
So then interplanetary exploration could take place without leaving the planet.
Interplanetary exploration is always taking place without leaving the planet, by consciousness. Science fiction is really interesting. We're talking about the imagination, but that mind is an interplanetary mind, in effect. That's the imagination. That means a creative mind. That is already the universe. It's already been there. Because we're born of that. We are that. We're not separate from it. We are focused on stuff that is so much less than that. Say, hey, this is your chance to wake up to what the universe is. The heart is the universe is the heart. We need to connect with this kind of, let's say, bigger picture from the heart. Not as a human, but as a spirit being.
So from the point of view of the masters, is the human race asleep, by and large?
The universe sees itself as something in motion, in progression, where there's sleep and there's waking at the same time. It's simultaneous, dying and living, right? Birth, all of it's going on simultaneously. So it is incomprehensible beyond the point, but we can see it for what it is, that all things are happening at once, relative to one's perception. And there's a beginning and there's an end time. There's a time for it to pull together. We've been in this kind of like, I guess you might say, time of integration and harmony, but we see that slipping away with the Earth going through its changes. And things are becoming more risky. That means that it's returning back to the elemental. See? The Earth is starting to assert her domination over the surface. There's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing, you can't change that. It's not about, the carbon emissions and all the rest of that. No, the Earth is bigger than that. As I've said before, when the Earth is ready and it's tired of our playing around on the planet, then the super volcanoes will blow and end the story right away. See? So there's no politics about the Earth. The Earth will do what it has to do. It rests when it wants to rest. It wakes up when it wakes up. It remakes itself. It implodes. It explodes. It does everything on its own watch. And, what are we? What are the humans? What are they? Non-mentionables, expendables, non-existent beings, right, etc. But we're also inherently, divinely let's say, created by light and in light, and we have to use that. So we're not just flesh bags, we're not just animals, we're spirits in progression. Better to think that way. And we have progression before us.
And for me, it all comes back to what you said many years ago, we're just visiting this planet.
We're all just visiting this planet, I have no doubt about it. And that's a good thing, by the way. And we're leaving this planet, that's also a good thing.